Accused number 2, Bongani Ntanzi, who is being represented by Advocate Ramosipele and Advocate Ngomezulu, took a stand today in the Sinzomiya murder trial. Advocate Ramosipele is cross-examining Bongani Ntanzi, and he is telling the court about what happened to him during his arrest. He then asked Bongani if they did explain Ntanzi's right because Gininda gave evidence that he is willing to confess to the independent officer. Ntanzi said no, he doesn't know about that. Ramosipele further said that Gininda was informed by him that he is willing to talk without his attorney. Accused number 2 said no, he is hearing that for the first time. Ramosipele asked if he had a breakfast before he was booked out at the Pretoria North Station. Accused number 2 said no, he didn't have a breakfast. Ramosipele further said that during Mabena and Mogane's investigation, was he given something to eat? He said no, he wasn't given anything to drink, and they never gave him a chance to use restrooms. Ramosipele asked if he was handcuffed the whole entire time. Bongani said the only time they took out the handcuffs was when they were entering the gate where he used to work, because he can't enter there while being handcuffed because of their small gate. But the entire time he was handcuffed. Ramosipele asked about the time they spent at Sibanye mine. Bongani said he can't recall because he didn't have the watch. Ramosipele put it to him that after the investigations were done, Mogola and Gininda left. Then what happened to him since he was with Mabena and Mogane when Gininda left? Ntanzi said when Gininda left, they stayed there for a while and the police were speaking with their phones. They then traveled next to the plant, and Mabena at some point was on the phone and he heard him since he was speaking Ndebele. He then asked his boss that what should we do with this person. Mabena then asked him about the way that goes to Rustenburg. Bongani responded and said he can't see it. Then the car traveled to Engine Garage and he's not familiar with Johannesburg. Ramosipele asked him about the location of the garage. Ntanzi said he didn't know, but on their way there, they took a turn and he saw an Albertson board. Then the car stopped at the Engine Garage. The police again started communicating with their phones, though he can't remember seeing a shop in that garage. The car didn't go to the Bowsers, it parked on the parking side. After the police were done on their phones, he saw 2 cars, a white GTI and a hard body van. On the GTI, there were 2 male persons and they looked like they are colored, but another one had a mask on. He later found out that the person who was in that GTI was Jonathan when he was testifying. On the hard body car, he couldn't see how many people were inside, but he saw 2 people getting outside the car and it was men. And these 2 people were in the uniform police that came to him. Ramosipele asked him that what happened then after. Accused number 2 said the cars parked next to the Fortuner. Mabena stepped out in the car and they all spoke together and he couldn't hear what they were saying. After that caucus meeting, Mabena took out Ntanzi from the Fortuner and took him into a GTI and was handcuffed always in the back and was placed right behind the driver. On the left, Mabena got inside the car. Another person that was with Jonathan in front, and there was another person that was sitting in front on the passenger seat. Jonathan looked at him and Buthelezi stood outside next to him and the door was open. Buthelezi then introduced himself and asked his name. He then told him that he's Ntanzi. He then asked him about what happened in October. He can't remember. He can't recall the date, whether he said it was on the 26th or 27th, and where he was on that day. Ntanzi responded and said if he wasn't at work, he was at his home, Konongoma. Buthelezi said he only wants the truth. Ntanzi said he is responding to him what truth he's talking about. Another police came that was tall and he later knew him as Mapumulo. He also said he wants the truth. He also responded the same thing and said, which truth are they talking about? Because he's answering them. Mabena said if he doesn't want to talk the truth, he'll leave him with these people. Ntanzi then asked him which truth that he's talking about, that he's going to talk, because he initially said that if he's not at work, he's at home. He knows nothing about Johannesburg. He only goes to where they normally sing or dance. That is where he knows. After that, Mabena took out a plastic bag and placed it into his head, and it was a silver Truworths bag. He tried to jump, Buthelezi blocked him so that he can't get outside. He really felt pains because this was happening to him for the first time. Even his heart is so painful while he's before the court. They then realized that they are not succeeding in tripping him. Jonathan shoved his seat and told him to open legs so that he won't have a way out. Ramosipele asked him how long was he tubed. He said he won't determine the time because they would just put this bag over his head, and told him that they'll hear from him if he wants to talk. And they only removed it when he said stop. And he was tubed multiple times. Someone was also slapping him, and he couldn't tell who he was because they put a plastic bag on him, and he suspects it was Jonathan because he was sitting on the front. Ramosipele asked him about Mokgane and said where he was at the time when he was being assaulted. Tanzi said he last saw Mokgane in the Fortuna car and he never laid a hand on him, and the passenger that was in front didn't assault him. He was just busy with his phone. He can't identify him. He never took out his mask, and he can't recall the time he spent there while they were trooping and assaulting him, but they were there for a long time. Ramosipele asked if he got injuries. He said yes, he got injuries from his head. The plastic made him suffocate and he felt the heat in his head. Mabena and Jonathan were exchanging each other with regards to trooping him, and he can't recall how long it took. He was then taken out in the GTI vehicle and went back to the Fortuna. After that, they left, and he didn't know where they were going with all these vehicles. Ramosipele asked the arrival time at the garage since they were coming from Carltonville. Tanzi said he doesn't know the time and his heart was so painful he won't lie about it. It was already dark because it was winter time. They then arrived into a place where there was a staircase going down. He saw a truck that takes a dustbin there, and it was an open area. It looked like a dumping site, and from a distance he saw tanks. Upon arrival, Mabena took him out in the car. He stood next to the staircase and asked him that even now he still doesn't want to talk the truth. Tanzi told him the same thing, that he was either at work or at home. He then removed handcuffs at the back and took another handcuffs and cuffed him with a staircase. It was very cold and it was at night. He was wearing a jean, a Cavella, shoes, a vest and a t-shirt, and also a tracksuit he was given by Mabena, and the jacket he got it from work. They then choked him while he was standing. Mabena was trooping him and they were shouting at him saying, "Hey, speak!" And he would respond and say, "What must he speak?" Ramosipele asked if he was assaulted. He said they never assaulted him. They placed a sharp object to him and they were trooping him. He didn't know that sharp object was. He saw it for the first time. It was stabbing him and shocking him. He felt pains in his intestines. Then Mabena took out his jacket and a t-shirt and poured water to him. Ramosipele asked him if he sustained any injuries. He said he doesn't know. He was never taken to a doctor. The only injuries he can see is where he was handcuffed because he was bleeding. As a result, he still has injuries on his wrist. They then choked and electrocuted him till they got tired. It got to a point where Mokgane came closer and he used demand language. Gininda and Mogola also arrived in that place, and another gentleman that he doesn't know. Gininda also asked him that even now he's not willing to tell the truth. He told him the same thing. Ramosipele said both Gininda and Mogola said they were never at the site he's mentioning on the 18th of June 2020 when they were giving their evidence. Tanzi said they both made a mistake because Gininda had a caucus meeting on that place after being asked by him that he doesn't want to talk the truth. He realized that Mokgane wasn't happy with what they were doing to him. He doesn't want to lie shame. Even while he was driving, he kept on asking him if he's okay, and he wouldn't respond because on the first event when they were assaulting and trooping him, Mokgane went to them and told them to stop. He then told him that he must tell Mabena that may the Lord bless him, even where he is resting now. May the Lord continue to bless him. Together with Jonathan, till this day, he still says, may the Lord bless them. Ramosipele then asked him that after that caucus meeting, what happened? He said Gininda got in the car and left. They also left with the GTI and hard body. But as they were in their car, he didn't know where GTI and hard body go. Mokgane took him into a police station. Ramosipele asked him what happened on the 19th of June 2020. He said that day it was cold and he was feeling very cold. Mokgane woke him up in the morning. Ramosipele said after being booked, did he notify the police that he was assaulted by the police that brought him there? Tanze responded and said police stations are not the same. When he was at Pretoria North, no one came to him and Mabena was always present when they take him out in the cells. No one came to him. That's why he couldn't report the case. Each and every police station, Mokgane would get in the police and inquire, and then he will be left with Mabena. He will open a cell for him and show him where to sleep. Ramosipele asked him again about injuries. He said his body was abused, but no visible injuries he had. Ramosipele asked if he cried when they used the sharp objects. Bongani said yes, he cried. After he was booked, they left on the 19th and they got to a place where it looked like there was a strike, and they stopped somewhere. And they arrived there and he stayed in the car. Mabena and Mokgane went out and they were on their phones speaking. They spent quite some time there. What's your take on this one, people? Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more news.